Contracts are the foundation of business and personal transactions. But what exactly makes a contract legally binding? At its core, every valid contract requires three essential elements: offer, acceptance, and consideration. Understanding these components can help you navigate agreements with confidence and protect your interests. A contract begins with an offer. This is a proposal made by one party that outlines specific terms and conditions. For an offer to be valid, it must demonstrate clear intent to form a contract, contain specific terms, and be communicated to the intended recipient. Vague statements or casual conversations typically don't qualify as legitimate offers. The definiteness of an offer is crucial. Courts won't enforce contracts with ambiguous terms. For example, saying, "I might sell you my car someday" lacks the specificity needed for a valid offer, whereas "I'll sell you my Honda Civic for $5,000 to be delivered next Monday" contains clear terms that can be accepted. An offer remains open until it's accepted, rejected, revoked, or a reasonable time passes. If you make an offer to sell your laptop and then withdraw it before the other person accepts, no contract has been formed. The second element is acceptance. This occurs when the party receiving the offer agrees to its exact terms without modifications. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified, and it can be expressed through words, writing, or sometimes through actions, depending on the circumstances. There are several types of acceptance. Express acceptance occurs when someone clearly states their agreement. Implied acceptance happens when someone's behavior indicates they've accepted the terms. If you order food at a restaurant, your actions imply acceptance of the obligation to pay. It's important to note that if someone attempts to change the terms during acceptance, this creates a counteroffer rather than acceptance. For instance, if you offer to sell your bicycle for $100 and the buyer responds, "I'll take it for $80, they've rejected your original offer and made a counteroffer. The third critical element is consideration. Consideration is the exchange of something valuable between the parties. This could be money, services, property, or even a promise to do or not do something. Without consideration, an agreement is merely a gift or a gratuitous promise, not an enforceable contract. Consideration doesn't need to be equal in value between parties, but it must be sufficient in the eyes of the law. Courts generally don't evaluate the fairness of consideration unless fraud or duress is involved. For example, if someone sells a rare baseball card worth thousands for just $10, the contract is still valid if both parties entered the agreement willingly. Valid consideration can take many forms: monetary payments, goods, services, or even forbearance, agreeing not to do something you have a legal right to do. A non-compete agreement is an example of forbearance as consideration. Certain items cannot serve as consideration. Past actions don't qualify. You can't promise to pay someone for work they've already completed without a prior agreement. Illusory promises that don't actually obligate either party also fail as consideration. And naturally, illegal acts cannot form valid consideration. Beyond these three elements, contracts must involve competent parties. Minors under 18 and individuals who lack mental capacity generally cannot enter binding contracts. A contract signed by someone who is intoxicated or under duress may be voidable if the other party was aware of their condition. Some contracts are unenforceable despite having offer, acceptance, and consideration. These include contracts formed through fraud or misrepresentation, agreements made under duress, and contracts that violate public policy. Additionally, certain agreements must be in writing to be enforceable under the statute of frauds, such as real estate transactions or contracts that cannot be performed within 1 year. Contract modifications after signing typically require additional consideration to be binding. This prevents one party from unilaterally changing terms without providing something of value in return. Understanding these fundamental elements of contracts helps you recognize when a legally binding agreement exists and when it might be unenforceable. Whether you're entering a business deal, employment agreement, or personal transaction, knowing the requirements for offer, acceptance, and consideration provides a solid foundation for protecting your interests in any contractual relationship.